You know, being a knee-jerk, anti-American, Eurotrash reactionary isn't easy nowadays. You have to ignore positive news about the U.S. and focus solely on the negative. You have to amplify this bad news until the United States is no longer a country, but a caricature. Let me give you some pointers on how to keep your tunnel vision going. First, say Americans are fat, constantly, as if this were news to anybody. Neglect to mention that they don't smoke much, unlike Europeans, who you frequently see smoking in front of small children. Apparently not fitting into tight clothes is a greater sin than forcing your kids to breathe poisonous secondhand smoke. Second, pretend fast food is the only kind of food we have. Ignore all regional American cuisine, Cajun, Southwestern, Southern barbecue. Ignore American wines, which long ago passed French wines in quality. Ignore the fact that your average middle-sized American city has a greater variety of international restaurants than London and Paris combined. Also pretend to be surprised to find out that McDonald's stores abroad have greater sales per store than McDonald's stores in the U.S. The last thing you want to admit is that your countrymen are bigger fans of junk food than Americans. Third, say America has no culture. When asked, if there is no such thing as American culture, why are you always bitching about Americanization? Answer with 2 words, McDonald's and Starbucks. That would be McDonald's and Starbucks. Feign ignorance of American television, movies, music, books, politics, fashion, the internet. In short, most of what you do for fun on a daily basis. You don't want to seem like a hypocrite who secretly devours American culture, so it's better just to tell an outright lie. Say America has no history. When it's pointed out that the United States as a political entity is older than modern France, Germany, Italy, Japan, or China, say that American culture has no history. It's all borrowed from Europe. When it's pointed out that Europe borrowed its culture from Greece via Rome, go outside and smoke a cigarette near some infants until you've calmed down. And yes, I know that Greece is considered part of Europe, but really, you have to consider that Levantine culture. Look it up. Fifth, ignore your own history. When you talk about imperialism, only talk about the USA. Ignore European colonialism in the Americas, Africa, and Asia. Pretend French Algeria, German Southwest Africa, and Dutch Indonesia never existed. Ignore Islamic imperialism, Japanese imperialism, Russian imperialism, and Chinese imperialism. That was also last century. Now you guys are officially good again. You're born-again anti-imperialists. Sixth, tell all Americans, interrupt their dinner if you have to, that you strongly disapprove of George Bush. If they agree with you, hide your surprise and tell them that you disapprove more and are therefore morally superior to them. Tell them that constantly complaining about Bush is your form of prayer. You know it's pointless, but it helps you feel better about European political impotence. Seventh, blame globalization on who else? Americans. Whenever anyone else exports anything, Japanese cars, French wines, Brazilian coffee, Russian weapons, or Chinese everything, and I do mean everything, whenever anybody else exports anything, it is a horizon-expanding cultural gift to the world. When Americans send blue jeans to Paris, it's a vicious attack on everything the French hold dear, such as allowing dogs to shit on the sidewalk. You've got to protect tradition. Eighth, blame global warming on Americans. Insist that European cars do not produce greenhouse gases. When reminded that China is now the world's largest greenhouse gas producer, make some vaguely racist apology about the Chinese just not knowing any better. After all, they eat tiger penises, don't they? You can't expect much from them. Ninth, only talk about the war in Iraq. All other wars, including the Congolese Civil War in Africa, which has killed over 3 million people, are uninteresting because they don't involve the U.S., which you're obsessed with. Remember, it's much more fun to condemn American foreign policy than to send a peacekeeping mission to Africa. It's just so damn humid. 10th, express horror at America's religiosity. Ignore the rapid growth of Islam in Arabia. I'm sorry, I meant Europe. Say that there's really no difference between fundamentalist Christianity and fundamentalist Islam. Don't mention burning cars, burning embassies, attacks against the police, gang rapes of infidel girls, wife-beating, honor killings, the Madrid bombings, or the London bombing. You've got to be sensitive to your new Muslim overlords, or you won't enjoy living under Sharia. That would be Islamic holy law. But You'll find out soon enough. 11th, finally and most importantly, never actually travel to the U.S. You don't want to have your stereotypes challenged, do you? Your mind is made up. What would you want with first-hand evidence? It's a lot easier to have an absolutist black and white view of the world. Good versus bad, God versus the devil, the virtuous world versus evil America. Seeing the world in shades of gray is hard work. You don't have a villain to blame for all of your problems. This could lead you to focus your criticism inwardly and find fault with your own countries. Who wants to do that? Well, Muslims do. They'll be the first to tell you that all of your women are sluts and all of the men are drunks. But that's another subject. For now, it's best to keep the intellectual blinders on. Repeat after me. America is bad. America is bad. America is bad. Whatever you do, don't stop bleeding.